Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel, and today's look is my NYX Face Award submission. I had such a great time creating this look. It was super challenging with the neon aspect and having to video in two different lights, but I mean, I am so pumped with the way it turned out. I've always been fascinated by neon, UV lights, and paints in general, and so I definitely knew I wanted to create something down that road. So when I discovered these neon UV gems on my forehead, I wanted to do something kind of glamorous and obviously bright. And because it's the Face Awards, I definitely wanted to add a cute little storyline, so I decided to go with a trendy little festival cat. All the products will be listed in the description box down below, so if you want to learn how I got down on this, just keep on watching. As usual, I start mapping out my features with a white eyeliner pencil. Then with this UV glow paint in pink, I paint in for the body. And then I check it under the UV light to make sure the coverage looks good. But I realize that it's going to be a little patchy, which is fine because it kind of looks like fur. I use white water activated paint for the chest puff, but then I add clear UV white paint over the top of that so that it glows under the UV light. Regular white just looks like gray. UV white paint tends to be pretty transparent when it dries down, so it can't really stand alone if you want it to be really potent looking. With a little tiny liner brush, you're going to start making little hairs all the way around the fur puff. And then follow those little hairs back through the chest puff in a horizontal fashion so that it looks like the hair is actually growing through the puff. It really starts to look realistic as you stack the colors on. I started with the UV green, then went on to the regular white, back to the UV white, then the UV yellow, and the UV pink. How many times can I say UV in one freaking video? I keep switching back and forth between both lights to check to see the progress of both. I really wanted them to look super sick in both lights. It was very, very important to me. And that's not always the case. Sometimes they can look a little lackluster under either light. I then use the UV yellow for the cat's collar. I also paint on a ton of black shiny beads dangling from the collar, but I left it out of the tutorial because I'm about to paint a ton of them on my arm. What you're about to witness is an ambidextrous, I believe that's how you say it, situation. I can paint with both hands, but let's be honest, I mean, it's not that great. But it does take some coordination and some patience. I first do a round of the white UV beads, and then I go in with a tiny little dotting brush for the yellow. Then a crescent moon, left-handed. Like what? Then check it under the UV light to make sure that it is fully covered. Onto pink beads with that same tiny little daughter brush. Then with that same brush, I paint on a cute little star hanging from the white and some more beads. And if you make a mistake and you make one like all wonky, just make it bigger and then continue on. It kind of looks like a rosary, and it looks super cool in my opinion. And now onto the other arm. I start with like a half circle so it can look like a tattoo is under the sleeve of my arm. I did go over it a couple of times, but make sure not to overdo it. It can definitely crack on you. This arm piece is a Dreamcatcher, so I'm imagining the center point of it underneath my sleeve. Then with the UV pink, I start painting on a feather attached to the little point of my sleeve on my shirt. Definitely doing my light check to make sure that the UV paint is looking bomb. Painting your arms is no joke because you seriously have to get into some twisted angles to make it look good. Once you're happy with the coverage of the pink feather hairs in both lights, then you can move on to the yellow and then the green, and then finish it up with the UV white. This would look really cool in just regular bright rainbow colors as well. I may have to revisit this and do that one of these days. I also use the UV white for the feather's backbone down the center. Then with that same liner brush, I paint on some pink beads on the Dreamcatcher and then some green ribbons that kind of cascade down a little bit, and then some more pink beads on the ribbon. Then for the black beads, I used a medium-sized round brush and saturated it quite a bit so I could make some consecutive beads in a row. And then of course the little liner brush for the baby beads. For the highlights on these beads, I went in first with a regular white round and let that dry, and then went in with the UV white so that it glowed under the UV light. Then with the little angled brush and the black from the Wicked palette from NYX, I form a shadow around the collar and the little sleeve cuffs, and then fade it out with the smudger brush. Moving on the face, I paint the nose and cheeks the UV pink and the headband the UV green. And then I check it under the light to make sure that it's not too patchy. Leaving the under eyes bare for later, and then painting the muzzle with regular white and then going over it with the UV white to make sure it glows. I also painted the bridge of my nose the white and brought it up above the eyebrow. And then for your fur around your muzzle, use the same exact technique as you did for your chest cuff. And then just follow that all the way up to under your eyes. And then contour the bridge of your nose. And then keep going with the fur on the sides of the nose and on the bridge. Then with my favorite little mini angle brush, I form a shadow around the nose with that same black from the Wicked Dreams palette from NYX. I also form a cute little line up that center part to define where the nostrils would be. I also run some black through my eyebrows and then move on to this little cat-like mustache. First, use your angle brush and form a nice sharp shadow there, and then blend it outward with your smudging brush. And then form a shadow down that very center part, and then smudge it off to each side. Then with NYX Primal colors in hot pink, I add a little bit of a shadow around the black portion. And then for the whisker holes, I use the UV yellow and then offset a black dot, and then that same liner brush for the whiskers. I let the black whiskers dry and then go over them for a highlight with the UV white. Then for the upper lip, I use NYX Stone Fox and then pat on NYX Loose Pigment in my favorite, which is Luna. On the bottom lip, I use this pretty metallic pink and then define it with the NYX Black and the hot pink Primal colors, and then move on to a contour on the cheekbones and the jawline with several colors from that Wicked Dreams palette. With that same NYX Black, I define the under eye and then soften it out with my smudging brush and moving on to gems. I map out where my center brooch is going to go, and then I just lay down latex and add my colorful gem, which looks so beautiful under the UV lights. For the eyes, I use the NYX Hot Pink for the transition and bring it up to the brow, and then the NYX Black for the crease, and then NYX Eyeshadow Base in white so that my UV pink glitter sticks to that. I added some UV dots above the eye and below, and also some white contacts. And now for the under eye, I use the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in Milk and run that all over and then set it with white eyeshadow. And while that kind of sets through, I throw on a black wing to really catify it. I then put the UV paint over the white so that that portion would glow. Then off camera, I put on my lashes, and for the bottom, I use NYX Doe Eyes, my favorite for bottom lashes. I latex my glow brooch to my head and added my white wig and my glow cat ears. Then make sure to pick a super cute outfit that glows in the UV Blacklight. A sassy little mirror check and a hair flip, and you're out the door. I love you guys so much, and I can't thank you enough for watching. Please make sure to subscribe. Have fun out there, be safe, and until next time, guys.